think they were lapped down, a couple laps down, they crashed, and I just had nowhere to go, unfortunately.
So you're a bit of a unlucky passenger in a crash there, because yeah, we did see Allison and Stockton missing the whole front of their car, and saw some damage on yours.
watching at home or those watching it back after the replay. Good to be here. Bit crook tonight, so if I go a little bit quiet at some stage, that's me just blowing my nose and coughing up the lungs. Although I do not have coronavirus. I'll just stress that very clear. No corona. But good to be here. Looking forward to an exciting race.
If you say that now, I'm not sure we can trust you. You know, we'll have to find out if you can actually catch it over the internet now. That's the worst part.
I'll try not to pass it through the mic.
That's it. So yeah, I think it's a bit of a night for everyone tonight. We're not in the best of health, anyone here tonight. So it's going to be a tricky one. Phoenix, though, it's a bit of a tricky track. First sort of short track of the season. It's going to cause a bit of issue. Of course, you're going to have to use brakes. You're going to have to drop down gears in some corners. It's really going to make a bit of difference because so far we've had almost flat-out circuits where there's been barely any lifting. And of course, coming to a short track now, we're going to see who's good on those short track runs.
Yeah, it mixes it up. The first short tracks of the season, and we'll go through the qualifying order in a minute, but already the qualifying order looks very different to previous weeks. And I can see it's going to be a challenging track because just watching these guys practice at the moment, and there are just cars ploughing in the wall. I've seen about 6 pile-ups in the last minute and a half, so we'll see if there's some more carnage tonight, similar to last week.
Yes, well, I hope not, but that's just from the standpoint of me having to edit together the highlights packages. It's a tricky track because it is low grip. It does have some problematic areas in that respect, so you do tend to get some issues sometimes with things like that. But just before we go on, I'm just going to quickly go over the championship standings. Now we are 3 races into the season. So sitting up in first place, we have Josh Micklemore, who's been having a great run this year. Very consistent, and he got his first win last weekend out. Behind him is his teammate in the Mitch Motorsport car, Danny G. Again, super consistent so far this season. He's been up there in the sort of top points for 2 races. Of course, Daytona was a bit of a write-off for him, but he's done really well to get back up there. Edward Foster in third, again, a very consistent drive. Chris Purnell in 4th place. Do not bet out on Chris Purnell, and then his Illusion teammate Dave Douglas there in 5th. Brett Gerarditz, joint 5th. Sorry, is Brett Gerarditz as well, both on the same points there. Norman Clark is in 7th. Again, good year for Norman. Good year for JP Simshed Racing as well. They've been having a great start. Foster and Clark up there in the top 10 is good. Skurlock for Illusion. Then Joshua Carroll Walden, another JP Simshed driver. And then rounding out our top 10, we have Daniel Stevens. So it's an interesting little championship forming up at the moment. We've got some drivers that are a little bit out of place. Of course, no Jason Martin up there, which is just something that we're not used to seeing, but he's had a bit of a horror start this year. And hopefully he can rise from the ashes and have a good one here at Phoenix.
Yeah, he's due for a good result. I think I saw he had a win midweek in one of the other series, so hopefully his luck turns around tonight and he doesn't get taken out while being in the lead for the 4th race in a row. It would be quite something. We had a chat to his Mitch Motorsport teammates and they've assured us that he's thrown some salt over the shoulder this week and visited a few therapists and things, so he should be all good to go.
He's not sitting there breaking mirrors at the moment, which is a good thing. Yeah, it should be good for him tonight. So it'd be nice to see how he goes. It'd be nice to see him actually climb up there and actually get a good finish this year because he's he needs it. He's a former champion in the series. He's very, very good, very, very quick, but it's just been a thing of pure luck this season for him, just not there.
Well, the other interesting thing tonight, we'll have a look at the grid very, very shortly, is Matt Danson, the guy basically in the top 10 of the championship, or a top 10 driver that isn't JP Simshed, Illusion, or Mitch Motorsport, is starting way back down in the grid on a track that promises to be fairly tricky to overtake. So that should create a bit of entertainment for us tonight as well.
Yeah, Danson actually had a bit of a shocker in qualifying. He was going out for his first qualifying lap and ended up losing the rear end and going into the vent and almost not making it through qualifying. So he had a bit of a rough start there. So we're just going to start gridding up here. I'll just wait for everything. start shaking its way out and getting into position before we start going through the orders. So up on first place we have Jake Maloney, extremely fast driver. Very good job for Jake Maloney. Next to him on the front row is Josh Micklemore. Josh Micklemore again just up there consistently this season. Second row we have Mick Skurlock with Neil Pearson. Again, good season for Neil Pearson, having a great drive so far, doing a really good job out there. Behind them on the third row, we have Jason Martin, as we're talking about. So nice and high for Jason, should hopefully keep him out of trouble. Hamish Gallagher sitting on his outside. Good job for Hamish Gallagher and Pearson, of course, teammates. Then we have James Roby and Danny G on row 5. Nice sort of good position for those guys. Danny G has just been very consistent this year, running way up at the top. On the next row of the grid, we have Jason Hartigan with Chris Purnell. So, you know, good job for them. Then on row 7, we have Brett Girditz with Ryan Jones. Ryan Jones, of course, had a bit of a shocking moment last time out, going into the pit lane a little bit too quickly and rolling the car. Let's hope that doesn't happen for him this time. Then we have Maddie Clerk with Ayrton Smith. Mirko Dortnack with Riley Curtis, Edward Foster with Stephen Williams, a little bit further down than Foster would have liked, I imagine. Dave Douglas with Devon Stove, Daniel Stevens with Mick Burst. Then Matt Danson and Bradley Allison, the two Allison rookies this season, having a good run so far. We're going to be going green now, so I'll cut a bit short on the old great on the course and just listen to the cars. Wobbles midfield there, but everybody is away cleanly. We had Brett Girditz actually going down a little bit and clipping the wall, I think it was, and
out.
The caution is out
already. Didn't see what happened there, Carl. Again, it must have been back in the pack.
Yeah, just trying to have a bit of a look down, but I think Ayrton Smith was involved in that one. So we're just going to try and figure out exactly what happened with that. Or Ayrton Smith just getting a little bit of a bump on the back of Chris Purnell by the looks of it. So a little bit of a bump there. He's just gone down. He's managed to keep the car going. So I don't think that was the caution. So yeah, not sure exactly what caused that caution because yeah, not finding out the exact thing there. Matt Hunter's had a bit of a go around, so I think Matt Hunter might have been involved. So yeah, Matt Hunter I think got involved in that one and got spun. So yeah, not the best start to the race. Let's hope we can actually get this all working out as Jake Maloney actually comes into the pits.
Wow, from the lead, that's a interesting move. Not sure why that's happened. Whether he's got a black flag from the start, or that just seems like a really odd decision, being in the lead of this race.
Yeah, it's a bit of a strange one, but look, he could be trying out something different here, and
you're doing a dance, wanting the challenge.
It didn't work out too well for Danson last time out, unfortunately.
No, a really odd yellow. I just went through the entire couple of laps. I couldn't quite see over the channel. A lot of frustrated drivers. So after last week, there were a lot of accidents. There was a lot of chat midweek regarding the amount of crashing that happened last week. There's a bit of rivalry out there to play tonight, and already people over the radio, a lot of grumpy drivers out there after the first caution. So as much as they don't like it, I enjoy listening to it. I like watching the battles and knowing that there's a few people pretty G'd up out there to show everyone who's boss. So we'll see what happens there. With Maloney, really odd decision as Micklemore, the championship leader, takes the lead of the race.
Yeah, just looking back through the field, Ryan DeCarthy McCarthy has got a lot of damage on the front end of his car. He's lost the whole front end of the car, so he is in some serious trouble. Um, just really trying to have a little bit of a look. We've got Gareth Anderson returning to the series, which is nice to see. Back in the series, has been busy with work-related things, so not been able to get out there for a while. We haven't seen him for many races actually since I think season 1. I think was the last time I saw him out and about. But good to see him back on the track. But this is not the worst start for the Mitch Motorsport boys. They're going to be pretty happy about that because they're 1-3 at the moment. They're sort of just putting Michael Skerlock in the Illusion car a bit in the sandwich, and then you have the DPR racing of Neil Pearson up there. Sorry, I did say Neil Pearson and Hamish Gallagher were teammates. Sorry about that. They're not. Sorry, that's my brain just not working at the moment. But good start for those guys, and you got Danny G just lurking back there as well in the top 7. So sitting well for him. So we could see some interesting stuff. There's a lot of Illusion cars as well in that sort of top sort of 10, top 15, as is often the case with Illusion. They do tend to breed a little bit like amoebas, and you tend to get a lot of them. But they've got a good, strong field out there tonight. If they can get up into the lead, it could be a good job, but it could work out very well for them.
Yeah, well, I mean, Mitch Motorsport, I mean, this seems to be happening week in, week out. I mean, for me, Carl, they're the most dangerous team at the moment. They always seem to be up the front. Bit of bad luck of late, but winning last week. Illusion fell victim to them on the weekend at an oval race at Rockingham, and I was in a Illusion sandwich, so I know all about battling Illusion cars. I mean, they're very clean. I mean, beautifully clean drivers. They know exactly what they're doing, but they're a force to be reckoned with, and we've got one sitting in second at the moment. So shaping up nicely at the start, and looking forward to some green racing.
Back to green, and here we go. Let's hopefully get some good green laps under our belt for this one. So Micklemore leads us away, and now comes a bit behind him, and hopefully everybody will get away cleanly a little bit further back this time. Jake Maloney's down in 33rd place now, quite a bit further down.
Held onto it. It's Mirko Doutnak into the wall around turn 4.
Yeah, luckily not too bad. He's managed to keep it in sort of control, but there's going to be some damage, and it's something you're going to see a lot here on these short tracks. It's very easy to just go a little bit high, just touch that wall, and well, end up with some serious damage on the car. You know, you're going to see a lot of cars with looking a bit second-hand by the end of this race for sure.
Yeah, hopefully the damage isn't too much. It doesn't look too bad, so hopefully he's okay. But yeah, you're right. It's just so easy to drift up into the walls around these short tracks. You just mistime that acceleration point by a couple of meters, and bang, a little tap in the wall. And what you don't want to do is then lose it in that instance and create a 30-car pileup.
Yeah, that's
so he held onto it well.
Especially when you're up that high up in the actual order, is if you go around, it's going to be a lot of cars that are going to feel it. Another driver that just got up in the wall, just having a little bit of a tap with somebody else, was Devon Stove a little bit further down the field, as Jake Maloney's racing his way up the order right now. He's coming up at a vast rate of knots. So good restart for Jake Maloney. He's having a good time getting past some of these guys at the moment. As Hamish Stein and Damon Stockton get into each other, and that's going to bring out a caution. Hammy just getting caught there, just coming down a little bit too quickly and sort of getting a little bit unseen, and that's also affected the 63 of Michael Schroeder. Unfortunate passenger in that incident. No real big turnarounds, but a couple of cars that are going to have some damage there. Yeah, bit of a little, just that little sort of moment, of lapse of concentration there, possibly. Easy thing to do. It's hard as well on these tracks because there is such close racing. You've really just got to almost drive with looking in your mirrors.
We saw a bit of this last week, Carl. Just a couple of guys probably just coming down a little bit too aggressively through some of the corners. Hopefully he had his spotter on then and letting him know. He had one on the inside, but yeah, Hammy a bit unfortunate. They're just coming down a little bit too tight. But then again, you know, a lot of those guys have been running the infield line up against those witches hats. Maybe he thought he was down there. but an unfortunate accident there, and the 63 is the unfortunate victim.
Yeah, real shame there. And like again, it's one of those things of, Hammy is one of the newer drivers in the series, and experience can be a factor in this sort of situation. It does take a lot of experience to get used to how people run and get used to how things are in sort of no oval racing. NASCAR racing is a hard series to actually, compete in. It's not easy, despite the fact it's just turning left for a lot of the time. There is so much involved in it, and it's so easy to make a mistake. You're always, one of the things about road racing is when you're racing side by side with somebody, you're probably racing side by side with them for about 20% of the lap at most. And you're getting past them, and that's it. You just sort of get past, you get past. On oval racing, you're running side by side, lap after lap after lap. And if you go in a little bit tight, or if you're a bit unseen, it can be your race over instantly.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't think I picked up on it on my replay, but it also looks like Matt Hunter and Norm Clark may have been involved, as they were both in the pits repairing what looks to be fairly substantial damage. Mirko Dartnak has come in and repaired his car from his earlier tap on the wall, so that's good for him, I suppose. He could come in and get that repair done and rejoin the race now without too many issues. And just coming through there, it sounds like Hammy over the radio, sorry, has apologised to the other drivers there, so that's good to hear. Always like it when drivers are prepared to put their hand up and apologise, and that's just one of those things. You live and you learn, and as you said, he'll gain a lot of experience out of the racing.
Well, it's one of the things, I mean, working with racing drivers and knowing a lot of sim racing drivers and racing drivers, they're not the most humble of people. It takes a bit for them to apologise sometimes. They don't like to admit they're wrong. And it's, being a bit of a racer myself, I understand it. You never like to admit that you did something wrong, but sometimes you do, and it does take a lot to actually own up to that fact and say, look, sorry guys, my mistake. I was just wasn't looking properly or just missed it. So good to see that. Good to see the apology coming through, and it's a learning experience. That's what you have to look at it.
Well, as we file up side by side again, not much has changed in the running order. I mean, prior to that caution, the field had basically spread out into a line of stern formation, so wasn't too much going on besides probably the back of the pack where the accident happened and Maloney coming through. But it seems early on, I mean, 150 laps, we're only on lap 14 currently, so I think the drivers in this early phase of the race are pretty happy just to sit and bide their time until the pit stops.
Yeah, it's going to be probably going to be a two-stopper, depending on cautions, of course. But we'll see how this goes. And pace car comes in, and Micklemore drops the hammer nice and quickly, and away he goes. Good restart again by Micklemore. He's got away nice and cleanly there, nice and quickly.
His restarts have been faultless, so I mean that's probably not surprising. He's a fantastic driver, and he gets another beautiful jump. Skurlock in third, Skurlock in second, Martin in third, looking pretty menacing there, ready to maybe grab his first win of the season.
Yeah, you can't ever count out the Illusion boys, and they've been having a relatively good week so far too. Mitch Motorsport and Illusion have been having a good week out there for some of the other series like the Thunder and the Truck series. But they're very fast drivers, they're very competitive drivers, and they've been racing each other for a long time now on these ovals, which does make a bit of difference. As we're starting to see, the cars are starting to drop into that sort of single file at the moment, which is not a bad thing to do at this stage in the race. So you can't win a race from the first couple of laps, but you sure as heck can lose one.
Yeah, and I'm just watching the Middle Finger Racing boys at about 17th, 18th, 19th. So they're a little pack of three, and it always makes me a little bit nervous that they run the risk of the fabled take your teammate out strategy. But they're doing well. I was just keeping an eye on. They were all racing side by side for a minute there, but have settled in as I say that. I think Brett Garrett gives Stevens, his teammate, a little tap on the rear bumper. So hopefully the three boys there don't end up getting tangled up into something they don't want to be in. But good to see them all in a group.
Yeah, getting a good bit of racing there. Just watching also Ayrton Smith. He's just fell out of the order a little bit. He got hung up on the outside line, and he's just lost an awful lot of positions from that. So he got caught out a little bit, and yeah, just started to struggle a little bit, and that's just helped people like Dave Douglas, um, Matty Cluett, people like that, just start building a gap. Dave Douglas is actually building a fairly decent gap from that sort of second group of cars, and is just starting to catch up to Foster now in 12th place, who's chasing down Purnell and Danson in front of him. So those guys are racing relatively hard, but out front, Josh Micklemore has got a decent lead at the moment. He's got at least 2 to 4 car lengths at the moment over Mick Skurlock.
Yeah, he's pulling away, and you mentioned him just briefly. Danson, as he makes another place, he qualified 23rd. He's already up to 9th as he overtakes Ryan Jones on the inside. Looks like Jones just moved aside and let him through. Hopefully that wasn't the case. He just made a little mistake. But yeah, Danson making his way through the field very, very quickly and inside the top 10.
Well, you say sort of just let him through, didn't race too hard. One of the things you can do here, one thing, Ryan has got a little bit of damage as well to the car, but he might be running a little bit to numbers, trying to just edge out a little bit of fuel, a little bit of tyre life, things like that. Whereas Danson might just be pushing a bit harder earlier in the race, just trying to get up the positions. Of course, because if we do start running green here for a nice long time, with those early sort of caution laps, that's going to mean people are going to be able to go to around about lap 60 to 70. So you might see some people possibly throwing a dice here and just seeing if they can eke it out to a bit of a longer stint than normal and try just for a single stop maybe. I don't think anyone's going to actually be able to do it from this point. But of course it does mean if you run later in the race without stopping, there is a chance that you will get a caution that will go in your favour. So could be just working on numbers at the moment, not racing too hard. Just looking sort of through the field as well. Another guy that's doing well gaining positions is Braden Boulos. He is absolutely flying at the moment in 17th position. And we've seen Boulos before. He's a very, very fast driver. Very. Oh, and we've got a caution. The 669. Sorry, the 696 of Damon Stockton has gone round. Just to see if I can actually find out exactly what happened there. Stockton's just gone around, and he got into contact with the 29 there. So just it got into contact up in the wall there, and that has taken him around and taken him out of that race. And that was Jake Maloney he got into contact with, our sort of leader from pole. So he's got some serious damage on the car now. He just got sort of crushed between the wall and Stockton there. Stockton just coming up a bit high, just possibly unseen there, and just led up the track a little bit too quickly, and Maloney got caught in a sandwich between him and the wall, and that's caused a bit of damage to that front end.
Well, Carl, I hope Maloney did get a black flag at the start of the race, because that move of pitting early on has put him into the mid-pack, which has then led to this accident. But yeah, Stockton there just seemed to move over and didn't seem to realise that Maloney was there up against the wall. So unfortunate for the both of them, and unfortunate for Maloney, who, from the pace he had, looked like one of the favourites this evening.
Yeah, it was looking good for him. Just coming into the pit stops now, just looking through.
Oh wow, pit lane's up busy.
Yeah, the pit lane is very busy at the moment, so everybody's coming out, and at the moment it was a very good stop from Jason Martin. He actually got a couple of positions in that pit area, so we'll see what happens when everything shakes out on the screens, of course, because it does take a little bit of time to update sometimes with these little things, just getting everything up there. But Jason Hartigan looks like he's made some decent moves, decent positions up on that one.
Danny G as well. A beautiful stop. Might have to have a look at some of these guys, Carl. I'm not quite sure how they've made so many positions, whether they've gone 2 tyres or the 4, but some of their stops have been absolutely lightning.
Yeah, some very quick stops there. Just having a little look at my numbers as I...
No, they've all taken 4 tyres. I'm just having a look. Most of what I can see have taken the 4, so it's just good stops, stopping on the right marks and getting a good launch, and yeah, well done to those that have made ground. Beautiful work. I mean,
yeah, some real good work out there. Got guy that didn't stop, we had two non-stoppers, and that's Stockton and Mirko Dortnak. Dortnak has actually not. He came in.
Yeah.
He came in a bit before, so he has had a pit stop already.
That's right.
He stopped 15 laps ago.
Well, that's worked out well for him.
So he's got himself back onto the lead lap with that one, which has worked out well for him. And he's coming into the pit stop now, so he is gonna pit. So he's managed to get himself back on the lead lap though, and that's the important bit. But Stockton looks like he's staying out there, so a bit of damage on the front of that car, but he's going to stay out there and see if he can roll the dice.
Yeah.
But with 26 laps on those tyres, I don't like his chances.
It's an interesting strategy. I mean, the damage couldn't be helping him either, so he's decided not to repair the damage and stay out in worn tyres. I've got the feeling that we're going to see that black 696 car get absolutely eaten alive on this restart, but we'll see what happens. And yeah, I mean, I think I would have stopped as well. Lap 26, get a fresh set, as most people did, and that's about as busy of a pit lane I think I've seen this season.
Yeah, pretty much the whole field coming in there, and really it makes sense on lap 26. There's not much point staying out there because on these short tracks, traction is everything, of course, and it is a big thing. It makes a big difference. So pace car comes in. And let's see if Stockton can actually get a good restart here. He's got Micklemore beside him. He drops the hammer. And he's managed to get away, but not very fast. And Micklemore does look like he's going to eat him up. And Skurlock behind him is coming down. Gives him a little touch as he goes into the corner. Stockton holds it, but Skurlock's just going to come right down the inside there. Just unsettled the car a little bit. Got through nice and easily. Good job. Nice move on Skurlock's side. He's got through there really quickly, and he needed to do that to get behind Micklemore, so he can't run away with this one.
I mean, the risk here with Stockton is as he drifts through the pack, it's going to cause some bottlenecking and some impatient drivers. Hopefully, it doesn't breed some more cautions, but we'll see what happens as these cars and the fresh tyres make their way around the 696 car.
Yeah, and at the moment he's not losing too many positions. It's sort of sitting quite well for him, and we have seen the new tyre models have sort of changed things around a bit. It does take a little bit to get these cars back up to racing temperatures sometimes with their tyres, as Jason Hardigan now just comes underneath him, and look, Stockton is just falling back now. He just does not have the traction of everybody else and is just losing positions hand over fist as Martin gets past him as well. So just see how much quicker those cars on those fresh tyres are now they've come up to temperature, now they're coming back into life. Of course, when you're on those slightly older tyres, sometimes they do heat up quicker, and we've got cars going round. We've got Jason Hardigan going around with one of the Illusion cars there. So we have got the caution out again. And, sorry, I didn't quite see who that was on the Illusion side.
I think it was Jones.
Yeah, Ryan Jones on that one. So going into the start-finish line, going across the start-finish straight there. Just goes in and just having a look-see as this happens. And, oh, it looks like Hardigan's just lost the rear end slightly there. The rear end just stepping out on him very, very slightly there. It wasn't much, but it was enough to make it so he couldn't get out of the corner properly. Rear end steps away, and he just goes into Jones there. Unfortunate racing accident, that one.
Yeah, it was, and actually Jones had a similar problem mid-corner as well. He's lost the rear. As he's lost the rear, he's caught it back again by sort of aiming it back towards the wall, just as Hardigan's losing his rear tyres, and they've met at the same point of the racetrack. And yeah, it's an unfortunate one. Just a couple of drivers, as you said, the new tyre model, it does take. And I know from driving 3.5 hours around Rockingham last Saturday that with these new tyres, it takes a couple of laps until you get the proper feel in the rear tyres, and both of them thinking that they had the grip didn't quite have it, and unfortunately they've met there and have received some pretty major damage.
Yeah, big shame for them. Hardigan was having a great race there. He was really coming up well. So yeah, very, very unfortunate for him. And Stockton does come in, of course, on this one as well. So it's sort of, it was a bit of a bold effort to try and stay out there, but did not work out for him. Did not work out for him there. Just having a look down the order. because I did notice that we have a car that is very out of position. When I actually find it. And that's Matt Danson, who's come into the pits again. He is way down in the ends of the actual yeah, order. That's the word I'm looking for. Yeah, there we go. Brain actually kicked
don't
in.
mind us at home, folks. We are. I've got coronavirus, and I'm not sure what Carl's got, but we'll get there eventually. But yeah, I mean, Danson, another big favourite, making his way through, and we're going to have to try and watch some replays to what's happened there, or whether he's coming to the pits again. I'm just trying to find his name on the list. He's just so far down.
Yeah, he's down there in the sort of 20 positions area, late. I think about 27th, 28th at the moment.
There he is. I'll go back and see what happened.
So he's dropped down quite a lot. So
he's pitted again.
That's going to affect him. So yeah, he dropped down actually before the restart. I noticed he was actually dropping positions. I don't know if he got if it was a penalty or something, because he just seemed to drop to the back of the grid on that before the last restart. I sort of noticed that out the corner of my eye, but didn't pay too much attention to it. But he has dropped right back, and now he's coming to the pits again for some fresh tyres. So he might be trying something a bit different here. So could be one to watch out for in the actual race. So we'll have to see how this goes.
Yeah, a fascinating strategy. I think he just pitted not too long ago. If he's coming to go, oh no, he's still out there in 25th, so putting around. So yeah, he's got fresh tyres, putting around in 25th. Yeah, he's going to be one to watch, and he's got a different livery on this week, which is cool. The rainbow livery. I don't know if that's one that he's always had, because I've always had a grey car. So good to see he's got some colours on my screen for him this week.
Yeah,
as we go to his normal livery, is it?
Yeah, back to his classic livery. He was actually running the grey livery because a friend of his passed away, I think, or a father's friend passed away, so he's running that in honour of him. So yeah, running that grey livery with the honour of the friend's father on that one. Nice. Nice and respectful. And he's gone back to the classic dance and paint scheme. So we've got a rainbow car back on track. Nice to see, because with JCW joining JP Simshed, we lost one of our rainbow cars.
That's
so
right.
It's a little bit more colour, but the pace car does come in, and we're going to go back to the restart now with Micklemore leading the way. And drops the hammer there and gets a good start. He actually does a very aggressive move up the track there, just to sort of position himself. And we've got a car just almost going around for Eden Smith there. He just got a little bit close to the infield and just had a moment there on that restart, but he's okay. So he's managed to get away with that one, but that could have been a very big crash on that restart. And we have noticed that restarts are a bit harder this season, because when you drop those tyre pressures and when you're going around a bit slower, the cars do seem a bit looser on those restarts than they have before.
Well, that's your famous line that you've been saying this season, Carl. Cautions, precautions. I mean, last week, the last half of that race was just caution city. A lot of talk this week about limiting the amount of cars in the field. We've got the 43 tonight. A lot of talk to going to 30. Due to the amount of cautions. I mean, that's already 3 within 38 laps, so be interesting to see what happens here. But yeah, these restarts are causing some major issues with people. A lot of people drifting up into the wall, losing the rear end. Hopefully these guys could just settle into a rhythm after this.
And we've got a car going into the wall. Mick Boyst has a big incident there, going across the start-finish line. Just going to quickly jump back and see exactly what happened there. He lost the rear end going through that final turn into the wall, but I think we've managed to retain green with that one. But a big amount of damage to him.
Still green, fortunately, so he's gone to the infield, and the caution hasn't come out, which is good. I mean, we were literally just talking about drivers getting into a rhythm after those first few laps to get heat and the right temperature into those tyres, and Mick, unfortunately, there is fallen victim to Jones and Hardigan. There's a similar sort of thing, losing that rear end out of turn 4.
Yeah, and it's something that I think people, when you watch the cup cars, they look very sleek. They look very grippy. You know, they've got quite a bit of aero on them and things like that. But in truth, they're not that stuck to the ground. They
Oh
do
no.
slide around a bit. They're not exactly they're not like a sort of open wheeler. And we've got a
The
caution
caution's out again.
so we'll try and figure out what happened there. But yeah, they do struggle quite a lot with that low grip, and you know, it is a problem sometimes, and people do get caught out by it. So
Oh, these things are incredibly hard to drive, and one of the risks, I suppose, people were talking about this week is a short track with a lot more braking and throttle modulation. There you go, Scafey. That there could be the risk of some accidents and fourth caution in 40 laps. These are tough conditions out here tonight.
yeah, they're not easy at all, and I couldn't pick up on actually what the caution was on that one. Unfortunately, I've been having a bit of trouble with the old switching to cars and them not being their system.
I'm having the same issues. I'm guessing these accidents, or this one again, has happened at the back of the field for whatever reason. My car isn't picking up. My computer's not picking up the cars at the rear of the field. So someone up the rear end there. Sorry for those folks at home, but yeah, I don't know why I'm not picking up the cars at the back of the field.
Yeah, it's a bit frustrating sometimes, and it makes it a bit harder on the old broadcasting front. It does cause a bit of trouble. As we do get
Try
some
and
cars.
see who comes into the pits, I suppose, and
Well, we've got Danson in the pits and
again.
Jones. Sorry, Maloney. Sorry, they've come into the pits again. Now I did see a car going relatively slow. I think it was one of the DPR cars going a bit slow after they sort of just on the after that, just when the caution came out. So I've got a feeling it might have been Damon Stockton, possibly involved somewhere along there, or coming up on the incident, because yeah, he was going quite a bit slower than everybody else. So could have been somewhere down in the sort of in the lower ends of the field, around about sort of in the sort of past about 24th position, that sort of area. So interesting to see what happens now. And you know, the big thing now is if we do go green, we could see some really interesting things starting to happen. One thing just to look out for is with a few of the drivers that are up there, they're sort of, you know, they're all on relatively equal pit stops now, other than where am I looking for? Wait for my timing stuff to sort itself out now. That's always the fun part. They're all on relatively similar stops, but then behind them, as you go a little bit further down the field, you've got drivers that have pitted a bit sooner, so they're on much fresher tyres, sort of down past around about 17th position and things like that. There are quite a few drivers that have not pitted yet. Sorry, that have pitted and are on much fresher tyres. So you've got people like Stephen Williams and Matt Hunter, people like that are on quite fresh tyres, and Matt Danson as well. He came in for another stop. So a lot of these guys are on very fresh tyres, while everybody else are on tyres that are about 20 laps old now. So that could start causing some of those cars starting to charge through the field.
Well, I think the strategy game now is fascinating because when we go green, we're going to still be over 100 laps. So, I mean, a lot of these guys are now on relatively worn tyres. I think you're going to have to pit 2 more times, Carl, before the end of this race if we go green. I don't, unless they're really willing to eke out worn tyres in this middle stint. Yeah, strategy and tyre usage and when you come in is going to be massive now due to these cautions.
Yeah, theoretically, from the numbers I've got, you could possibly make it on one stop if we do run green, but it's going to be a very controlled sort of race for these guys, where they're going to have to really sort of work to fuel numbers and tyre figures and stuff like that, and not push too hard. But the problem with that, of course, is you've got people that are going to be chasing you that can push harder, and pace car comes in. We're going to go back to green flag racing, and Micklemore again gets a really nice restart. So Micklemore leads away there, gets a nice restart, and hopefully everybody a little bit further down the pack can manage to keep the cars together. There are a lot of second-hand looking cars down there now, though, as well. That's the other problem. You've got people like Raymond Yeager, who's got a car that has got a very crumpled front body. There are a few cars out there like Jason Hartigan who have no front end, and that also makes it a lot harder because you're losing, as much as I say there's not a huge amount of downforce on these cars, when you do lose the front end, you're losing a lot of aerodynamic grip that you do have. And also it can cause things like cooling and engine problems and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure, and just an overall straight line speed, even though it's not the the fastest track, you still lose a bit on the straights, and it makes it really hard to overtake and defend. So it's going to be a tough race for anybody that has that much damage. I mean, these guys at the front are just driving beautifully. They know that it's a long race. They're keeping it clean. There's not a dent on their cars, and that's why they're the leading cars on the track.
It's all about keeping it going, really, and just keeping it out of trouble. And that's sometimes the hardest thing to do, is just avoiding accidents. One of the big skills for a lot of these drivers is the fact that they can just seemingly avoid the accidents when they happen and keep out of trouble. And that's a big thing for oval racing, is avoiding accidents, but also learning to keep an eye out for people that may be a little bit less experienced or may just be a little bit different to race, and sort of seeing an accident before it happens almost. You see a car that goes around and has trouble and sort of is a bit slower in one corner than another, you know that there's a chance that they could easily sort of cause a bit of a crash behind them. So you have to learn to, okay, we've got to change our driving style around that. And people that have to do that, people like Braden Boulos and Matt Danson at the moment, who are just carving their way through the field, with Jake Maloney on the back of them as well. Maloney having that bit of a horror moment earlier on in the race where he got pinched up against a wall, is having a good return drive now, and he's starting to climb up the order along with those other guys, Matt Danson and Boulos, as I was saying.
He made a lot of positions on the previous lap. I'm not sure which driver it was, but they lost the rear end coming out of turn 4 again, and slammed the brakes on. There was a massive checkup on the front straight, and it was Maloney and Danson who were the beneficiaries of that. Made up around 3 or 4 spots. So as you said, it's just the good drivers that always seem to know when something's about to happen, and they take full advantage.
Yeah, it's almost like a sixth sense for them sometimes. It's a strange thing. These guys just have that sort of...
another car in the wall. It was Bradley Wingard just drifting up at the exit of turn 2 and into the wall he goes. So it's just so many drivers really struggling. Almost seems like understeer and oversteer at the moment, drifting up in a wall, and then to avoid that, lining up the rear end. And this is fascinating compared to the races we've watched this year. Just the sheer number of drivers struggling on corner, mid-corner, and corner exit. So it's tricky, really, really tricky out there. And the warm-up that we watched, it's just never seen so many cars crashing. I don't know whether they were doing it for a laugh, but it sort of gave me the heads up, Carl, that tonight would be a bit of a race of carnage. And that's what we've seen so far. A race of attrition, indeed.
Yeah, it's one of those things that, again, if you ever get the chance to drive one of these cars, if you're ever sort of watching and sort of think, I'd like to give that a go sometime, give the sort of NASCARs a bit of a go and actually take them out on a sort of short oval or out on a road course, because you realise how unbalanced these cars are and just how brutal they are. The thing is, you've got a lot of horsepower at the rear of these cars. Obviously, on a short track as well, we're running unrestricted as well, so there's a bit more horsepower. That's correct, isn't it? Is my brain working right?
Yeah.
There we go. So you've got more power, which means you've got more wheel spin at the back. So when you're going through a corner like the corners here at ISM Raceway here at Phoenix, if you lose the back end, if you put your foot on the accelerator, it's just going to pendulum you around so quickly. But what you also get is you get understeer, and then it turns into snap oversteer, and that's the real hard bit, because when you've got understeer, you can sort of work around it. But when it also suddenly turns into snap oversteer from nowhere, it throws you out, and that's when you end up with incidents where you go into walls and you just lose it on those corners, and you feel like a complete idiot when it happens because it's just such a it feels like it should be such an easy thing to control, but it is not. It's a very hard thing to get right, and that snap oversteer is the thing that gets most people out.
Yeah, and another example of it at the back, Ayrton Smith, I'm just watching up the back car of some battles, really losing that rear end again on the exit of turn 4, and another massive check up on the main straight, but he's held onto it, lost a few positions, but a good save there. See, one thing that fascinates me, Carl, is in basketball when you get the kids that sweep up the sweat when a player falls to the ground. Must be some little kids out here picking up those cones at the exit of turn 2, because those things are copping an absolute battering, but they're still there. Oh, I don't know, whoever's got that job needs a pay rise. Holy smokes!
Well, that's why you use kids, so you don't have to pay them. It's a
bottle of
fantastic
Coke at the
scheme.
end of
Yeah, that's it. They work for chocolate and Coke. It's the best way of using children.
It's an interesting line, though, isn't it? That they take on that infield on the exit of that corner. I mean, anything on the inside of those cones, you'd imagine would be some sort of penalty, but they're really threading that line very tight.
Well, the problem is if you give a driver an inch, they will take a mile. It's a thing about racing drivers. They will take advantage of any game you can get. But the problem comes, if you look at, say, Josh Micklemore driving round, he tends to keep on the track. He doesn't drop down to the infield as much, and a lot of the front runners don't do that. And what can happen is when you do drop on that infield a bit, you can actually get unsettled. So you see as they go through the infield there, they're not running a quite as tight line as some of the others and hitting those cones. Whereas the guys hitting those cones are going a bit tighter, and it means that they've got a bit more elevation they've got to get back to on when they rejoin the track itself, because of course it is cambered. And that can really unsettle the car as you go into turns, into that final corner, basically. And it might be quicker around one single lap to do that and really hammer those cones and really take advantage of that slightly shorter track. But over a course of a race, it can start costing you because you start to wear your tyres a bit more. You start to it's easier to make mistakes and things like that. And that's kind of what we're seeing at the moment is as people are going through that final section and tapping those cones, they're going in a bit too tight. And when they rejoin the track, come back up onto the camber of the banking, that's when you can really get the rear end just stepping out a little bit and just getting a little bit fishtaily on you.
Yeah, and someone who's not having that drama is Matt Danson, who's just absolutely flying through this pack like a hot knife through butter. I was just about to say Ed Foster and Matt Danson are about to engage in a battle, but Foster's clearly seen that he's much quicker than him and moved aside, and it's actually the Boulos?
Yeah, Braden Boulos is up there with him.
Following Danson. Basically, both of those guys were almost at the back of this pack after the last restart, and Boulos has just stuck to the rear bumper of Danson, and they've both just absolutely picking off drivers lap after lap after lap, and have now, once again, pushed themselves into the top 10 after Danson starting 23rd and Boulos 34th respectively. So guys to watch, and they're doing some great things out there.
Yeah, because Boulos is a very good driver, races over in America, and he comes over here because he likes the challenge sometimes. But he's also good friends with Danson as well, and those two work very well together and like to race each other too. So it's good to see them out there, and they are absolutely carving through the field. But one of the things they do have are much fresher tyres. Those guys have just much fresher tyres than the rest of the field. They're 20 laps younger than everybody else around them, so they've got so much more grip, so much more traction as they come off the corners, which means more speed in the straights. So they are just scything their way through the field at the moment.
Well, then again, it's easy saying they've got fresh tyres, but you've still got to make the moves, make them clean, and in a hungry pack of 43 cars, their moves are sublime. I must also say too, you know, as they've made their way through, the driving's been very respectful. The guys that they've been overtaking have realised that they're there and have given them plenty of space, which is good to see, and that's why we've had a good run now of 27 green laps.
Now you've jinxed it. Now you've done it.
I've just jinxed it. Yeah,
yeah.
I've got to realise this as a commentator that I curse things. So, and again, that's something I've got to stop doing. I didn't say there's a green 20. There's going to be a caution.
Yeah, it's
There's going to be a caution.
It's guaranteed to happen now. But it's one of those things that, again, as I was saying earlier in the race, there's not much point in racing people that are on a different strategy like that. It's a bit like endurance racing, for instance. You know, you make your own race. You have to focus on your own race in that respect. Because if you go racing a guy on fresher tyres, you're just going to wear your tyres out quicker and possibly cause yourself to have a bit of a mistake and have an issue. And we've got a caution again as another car has gone round. You have managed to absolutely curse it. Just trying to figure out who that was. Sorry, it was a red and white car. Trying desperately to find out who that was now.
Yeah, and again, I apologise for the viewers at home, but again, for me, as I scroll through, I just do not see any accidents. So
yeah, it happened quite close to our leaders actually. Going back, having a little bit of a look as we do. So yeah, it's just finding that.
It was Ryan Ducatier McCarthy.
Big shame there, and he had some serious damage to the car as well. So he's been having a bit of a struggle tonight. He's 11 laps down, and yeah, just that has not helped things out. But everybody is in the pit lane now, so you're going to see a race off pit exit again. Who can get that perfect stop, and who can get back out there quickly?
Oh no, Ryan's blown his engine. So he's come out of turn 4, Carl, and his engine has exploded, and he's parked it on the inside wall of the main straight. So no other drivers involved. Just I think the damage might have overheated the engine a bit too much. His front end's all crushed in, and the engine's given way.
Real shame there, and it's easy enough to happen in a situation. Yeah, it's a real unfortunate situation there, and like the curse in the commentator strikes again. But in all seriousness,
sorry, Ryan.
You know, it's an easy thing to do, and I actually just got a bit of a message from one of our the driver that's not driving at the moment too much, but does a lot of testing and going on in these cars. Roger Clark, just saying that a lot of the cars are quite iffy as well because the stock setups. It's quite a hard setup, and it does cause a bit of problem. And they have a very small footprint on their tires, so they tend to have a very small positioning on the tires because of the way the camber's set and toe.
Yeah.
And so you're not getting much contact patch on the road, and that can cause some serious problems. And this is sometimes the problem in stock setup racing. Of course, you can't tinker with the car, you can't get it perfect, you can't get it how you like, and that can cause some real problems for some drivers because when you can change the setup of the car, it really does make a big difference. And also, of course, the other big thing on this track are marbles, and that's something we haven't talked about really, but you do get a lot of marbles offline, and especially on these short tracks where you have got braking points, you have got you've got points where you have to lift, turn, and you do get a lot of marbles building up on the inside and the outside of the track, and that can really affect you when you do get out there. When you do just run a little bit wide, all of a sudden you're running on marbles, and it's like you're ice skating basically. It's a bit like aquaplaning on a dry surface. It's a very strange sensation.
Yeah, we haven't spoken about that at all, and it explains a lot of drivers that have gone offline and just drifted up into the wall. As we go back to the front of the race, Carl, we've got an Illusion Motorsport, and then those three menacing Mitch Motorsport boys in second, third, and fourth really starting to present well. Danson, and then in another Illusion car, Chris Purnell sitting in there as we go green.
And Skurlock just drops the hammer straight away. He doesn't even wait to put the foot down, and he gets a nice little launch there. And Skurlock just not really been talking much about him, but he's been running very well at the front, and he's managed to sort of work himself up into first place now. So good job for Michael Skurlock there.
Yeah, and again, I think he won midweek as well. So I think we had Martin and Skurlock win midweek in other series. So they've both got form leading into this race. And Skurlock's definitely someone we haven't spoken about much tonight as well, but is a huge contender this evening.
Yeah, somebody you really can't count out, and he is very, very good. You know, it's one of those things. He's a very quick driver. He's very good on these. Usually, short tracks are his sort of better domain. He's a very good road racer as well, and he's just pulling away at the moment from Josh Mickelmore, the guy that's been leading the race pretty much all night long. But he's found his opportunity and just absolutely sprinted out now. And pulling up a nice bit of a lead. Just going back a little bit, Jake Maloney, who qualified on pole, had a bit of a squash with the concrete on the outside and a car on the inside. He's managed to work his way back up to 8th place. He's just got past. Oh, Dave Douglas gets a tank slapper there. Very, very good save from Douglas. Just again going around the corner, and it just that car just gets loose at the rear as he's just coming back onto the straight, and he just saves it. So really good job for Douglas there. He's going to be pretty happy about that one.
Well, that second lap, it's happened so often, the second lap after the caution, where the drivers, I think, are starting to feel the grip come back, and the grip's not there as much as what they think. He's not the first person to do that tonight on the second lap of the restart. Would just light up those rears exiting the fourth corner. Yeah, a great start by Danson. Now he's we're talking about Mitch Motorsport guys. He's already overtaken 2 of them, and he's sitting in 3rd place. Actually, just someone out of those pit stops, Carl, Braden Boulos, in 25th. So, and he was someone who was right on Matt Danson's tail. Matt Danson now in 3rd. Boulos has had some sort of issue in those pit stops and is way back in the pack.
Yeah, he's not had the best stop there, and that's really affected him. Not what you want to happen. Going back and actually having a quick look at it, I can't actually see what happened there. But
yeah, it's a bizarre stop. I mean, he was one flying through the pack with Danson, looking like someone to really threaten this race. So that's unfortunate there, but he's going to have to do it all again. He's got 70 laps to do so.
Yeah, it's always unfortunate when things like that happen, but he's not going to be. He's going to relish the chance to get back up there. He's got a reason now. He's got to go and chase down Danson and beat him. So we'll see how that goes. And speaking of Danson, he's up into 3rd place now with Martin and Danny G in the Mitch Motorsport, and then Chris Purnell in the Illusion car, with James Roby just behind him, Jake Maloney, Foster in JP Simshed. Hamish Gallagher having a very good run at the moment. He's still in that sort of top 10. He's just sitting there at the moment. Good race for him. Very much not talked about him tonight as well, but he's having a good run at the moment.
I was going to talk about him earlier, Carl, running the Taylor Swift livery. So a big fan of Tay-Tay, which is good to see. She makes some beautiful music, and good to see that he's sporting the Taylor Swift reputation livery this evening. Well done, Hamish.
That's certainly not slowing him down, and it's definitely making him swift. So, and I'm going to leave from that zone.
Nice one.
So yeah, the field's sort of spreading out a little bit. Everybody's sort of running single file at the moment, and just getting in those positions. But you can just watch, like, as you go down the field sometimes, you just see those cars coming into the corner, and there's a few drivers that like to brake a little bit earlier and absolutely get loose. And But people's braking points are a bit different as well around here, and there's almost checkups as you go through these corners sometimes,
Yeah.
because one person will like to go for a bit quicker as we've got a car just losing it a little bit. All right, I'm just skipping down there. I think it was S Patterson just having a little bit of a moment through the start finish straight there. Just getting a little bit of oversteer, similar to Dave Douglas. But it's just so quick and easy to happen here. It's a very unforgiving track.
Yeah, it just looks so difficult. As one person that doesn't seem to look too difficult, although is Matt Danson. Is he's starting to shape up a move on our current championship leader, Josh Micklemore. So this is a battle I've been pretty keen to see. Two fast guys, and doesn't look like Josh is too keen to let Danson through like some of the other drivers behind him during this race. And he's holding a very different line to Matty Danson around a number of these corners. A much wider line, as you said earlier. He's not too keen to get anywhere near the inside of the track, and whereas Danson is basically using every inch of the circuit as he makes a big dive up the inside of Josh Micklemore. Micklemore on those marbles we spoke about earlier, and there's another move done for Danson.
Yeah, and that was shaped up from about almost like 5 corners ago. Danson's just been playing the long game there and just working his way up there and just trying to force Josh Micklemore just into that slight mistake, going out a little bit wide, catching the marbles, and then just skipping up the track. And that's just as quick as it can happen. That's the simple thing. And now he's got to start chasing down Skurlock, who has got a decent lead at the moment. He's got a nice little lead at the moment. He's been running very well. He's running good lap times as well. But currently, the fastest man on track is Danson. He is almost 3/10 of a second faster on those last couple of laps.
Yeah, and he's already gained 2/10. I don't think it's going to be long until we've got a battle for the lead. I'll be interested to see what Michael does to try and keep the flying Matty Danson behind him. I mean, we've still got 60 laps to go, so it's going to be hard to keep someone that fast behind him. But it'd be good to see a bit of a battle there between two good drivers.
Yeah, there's still a long way in this race to go. We're just going to be hitting lap 90 on this next one round. And it's shaping up to be a good race at the front as got Jake Maloney down on the inside. I think he might have a problem with the car. He was running up in 8th and he's coming into the pits now. The car was not sounding or looking like it was running smoothly for him, so he might have some engine issues or might have some other gremlins just hitting the car there. Big shame for Maloney. He had a great start to the race and great qualifying, but it's not working out for him, and caution is out. As it looks like the
it's Riley Curtis. Riley Curtis has been involved in some sort of accident, Carl. He's Riley Curtis. We've been talking about it all night. He's just the rear end coming out of the first corner there, a second corner, I suppose, and has corrected the oversteer into the wall, and unfortunately has taken Allison with him.
Yeah, and that's a big shame. It was a big hit as well on Allison. That's an unfortunate one for Bradley Allison as well. He's been having a great start to the season. Well, both we've got two Allison rookies, and Bradley Allison last couple of weeks has been having a fantastic job. Matt Allison as well been doing very well. Had that great run at Daytona. But yeah, big shame there, and that's that thing of just that snap oversteer. It's just so quick to happen. You just go to correct the car from that understeer, and then bang, you're around. So everybody's going to jump into the pits again. We're resetting the race. We're starting again almost. So it's just going to be a matter of seeing who can get those pit stops correct.
Wow, this is fascinating. I mean, if you're saying there's 50 laps or so in the tyres, we've got 59 laps remaining in the race. So if drivers are coming into the pits now, they're really hinging on letting this set of tyres run until the end of the race, barring other caution.
Absolutely, and now you've got to ask yourself, because if you get a caution, it's sort of
Yeah.
if we get a caution relatively soon after this, if
In
we get a
about 20,
caution in the
30
next,
20 laps, I think if there's something around that mark, you've got to ask a question, don't you?
yeah, it's a tricky one because if you stay out and everybody else stays out, you could get some really good track position and manage to hold it. If you could make it to the end, of course. But we've seen how much faster those fresh tyres are with Matt Danson, of course, dropping to the back of the field and charging his way up. As well as Braden Boulos, he's in 14th position at the moment. He's managing to climb his way up as well. So, they are fresh tyres are definitely a big bonus here, but track position is kind of king because if you're in the front of the pack, then you got less chance of being caught up in an incident.
Yeah, exactly. I think the race now really starts coming alive in the strategy. We saw a couple of races ago, Danson come into the pits and grab fresh tyres where everyone else stayed out and end up charging through the field and taking the win. So I think on these new tyres, that type of strategy where if everybody's keen to stay out and not pit and get to the end on a green run, and you decide to take tyres, you have the potential of winning the race. That seems to be how much difference you've got with this current gen tyre.
And just showing that the curse of the commentator is all knowing and all positive and will happen, guaranteed. Bradley Allison, he was leading the pack after all those starts because he did stay out. But you might notice he's disappeared off the timing screens, and that's because his engine exploded just shortly after mentioning his name. So the curse of the commentator has struck for Bradley Allison, unfortunately. The engine just completely went out on him. He was obviously trying something a bit different there, but that's
a shame.
That's the end of his race.
Yeah, I don't know how to stop the curse. So did we just mention the car numbers? I'm not sure, but
there's no known there's no known way of undoing the curse. Unfortunately, I think Murray Walker found that to his great demise sometimes. But we're going to go back to green. Skurlock gets a fantastic restart there, like to grease whip it. Off that start, and also that's given Micklemore a good run as well, and he's getting up underneath Danson at the moment.
Wow, Josh Micklemore, here's to be a huge move if you can get Matty Danson.
Oh, and we've got a car. Inside. We've got a car going round in the midfield.
Well, there's our cautions breeding cautions, Carl. You always say it, and you've been proved right again.
Yeah, I wish it wasn't as prolific as it is, but yeah, just a little bit further back, we had Hammy Stein there getting caught up, and he just got caught by one of the Middle Finger Racing guys, Brett Gertitz. Gertitz making a move between two cars, between the 197, and just caught Hammy in the back and spun him around, and that's caused a couple of little accidents behind him. So, yeah, a bit of a passenger for that one for Hammy. He was just caught in the rear and nothing he could do there. So back under caution. Now the big question is now, does anyone actually roll the dice and risk a stop here? Because stopping now, we're on lap
97.
97? Okay, yeah, 97. It's only five difference for the tyres and stuff, but it will give you that little bit of extra fuel. Will anyone roll the dice? That's the big question.
I think if you're at the back of the pack, I'd be coming in. I don't think there's too much to lose. Chuck on slightly fresher tyres than everyone else. You've got no issues with fuel, and there are more cautions. You can make some pretty large gains, but I think these guys at the front will stay out, although I've been proven wrong many times before.
Yeah, so that's the flip side of the curse of the commentator is the fact that it does backfire on us whenever we're talking about things like strategy, and it turns out we're completely wrong.
Yeah, that's probably why I'm not racing in this championship. I would be embarrassed week in, week out.
Oh yes, there's many of the drivers that want to see me out there on the track one time, and I assure them they do not. But,
why is Carl coming into the pits again?
That's it. It is very tricky, and strategy is a big thing, and strategy can win and lose you a race quite easily. It's done so in the past. We were actually talking at the last race at Water Club uh, with uh, Marco Dortnak's win in the previous season, where he just
Yeah, not much change up the front still. I mean, the only real change over the course of this race in that top sort of 5 or 6 cars is just the emergence of Matt Danson. But really impressed by the racing of the guys in those top 6, 7, 8 positions, keeping their cars clean, and they're setting themselves up for a really cracking finish in this race with only 50 laps remaining. So we're entering now the final third of the race. Now, last week we spoke about this, where drivers could start getting a little bit hungry to make moves, and we ended up having a huge series of cautions last week. So as much as I like the carnage, the drivers probably don't, but those of you watching, I think you're going to watch what will be a pretty entertaining 50 laps.
Yeah, if we get some good green flag racing here, we're in for an absolute brilliant race to the end here. It's going to be an interesting one.
Who'd you
Will
pick, Carl?
Skurlock.
Who'd you pick 50 laps to go?
Oh, look, I'm not going to curse anyone with that one. Look,
Skurlock,
if Skurlock gets a good restart here, it could be very good for him, and he does get a good restart again. Danson gets a better restart than he did last time round, though. Danson's managed to keep out in front, and he's just keeping up there, just stopping Jason Martin from getting him. And that's meant that Josh Micklemore can't get past. As it stands, Jason Martin just getting so close to the wall there. There was a cigarette paper between him and that wall there that was very close. But at the moment, it's, there's been some great drives out there, especially from Skurlock, Danson, and Micklemore. These guys have just been on fire all night. But behind them as well, you've got Purnell, Martin, Danny G. And those guys, again, have been just fantastic all race long. They've been sitting there. They've not been that far off from the leaders. They're just biding their time, keeping a good position. And it's, it's pretty much that sort of top 5, 6 drivers are looking good tonight, but can't really take out Skurlock. I think he's looking good at the moment. He's definitely got some serious pace.
Yeah, well, I think he's led a lot of this race, and whether he can hold off this rainbow car, if Matt Danson behind him is soon to see. Going to be a fascinating duel.
It's it's often a thing we've said throughout the seasons here at ANZCAR, the rainbow car at Danson, who's going to be able to hold him off. And look, it is a constant thing. We look back to the first season we broadcasted, it was who can hold off the purple car of Jason Martin. That car was always coming up there, and he's another guy you can't write off right now because he's just sitting back there. He's not pushing too hard.
Yeah, a bit different to the previous weeks, isn't it, Carl? In the previous weeks he's been leading, whereas now Martin looks like he's deliberately trying a different strategy where he's sitting off the lead, which is fair enough because it hasn't worked for him in weeks gone by. So yeah, definitely don't ride out that purple car of Jason Martin for sure.
Yeah, and look, Mitch Motorsport have been so strong this season as well. Like, you look at them, they've had top 10 finishes so much time, and their drivers are leading the championship at this stage. And I mean, we're only 3 races in, of course. That's not, it's not the biggest thing in the world, 3 races, but it does show their consistency, and they've just got that speed, they've got that ability. And we did say last year when they actually first started out, they were a bit of a super team. We were quite worried about them just absolutely dominating last season. It didn't quite pan out for them. But this season, they're much stronger, and they're really having some good races. So it's going to get harder and harder for these guys as those guys get more and more in tune, and they're starting to really show their hand now. But Illusion also, they're very hungry at the moment for the Cup. They've been having some great races in the Trucks and Xfinity, and some good wins as well with Skurlock and Purnell. But the Cup has not really paid off for them in the last couple of seasons. They've not been sort of they've not been having the best of time up in the cup. But I think this year they're determined to try and get something. But Danson is right on the back of Skurlock now. We're going to have that race, and who is going to get get the lead of this race from here?
Yeah, I just can't wait, and it's so good to see Nicky Skurlock have the pace to keep Danson behind him here. As Danson has a bit of a lunge, but pulls out of it at the last second. So yeah, this is great, and it's good to see Skurlock have the pace to really battle it out here with Matty Danson.
Yeah, it's really good racing, and it's what we like to see. It's you know, a big thing about NASCAR, of course, is always the crashes, because you get some spectacular crashes, but the biggest thing, yeah, but it's about the racing, and you get some fantastic racing on these ovals. I sort of cut my teeth in open wheelers more so than touring cars, and that's where my knowledge from ovals comes from predominantly. Which is why I know nothing about NASCAR and touring car, of course. So that's why I get so much wrong. But it is the thing of there is always such close racing. It is just such a pure skill, and it is just one of those series that is so different to racing. As I was saying before about circuit racing, it's great. I love circuit racing. But you don't have that constant side-by-side action always. You don't have the opportunity for somebody to spring on you at any moment. It's always a couple of corners on a track, There's, things like the bus stop at Spa, obviously, and, where big moves may happen, and then a lot of the other corners there, not much is going to happen through the whole track. Whereas on an oval, it could happen anywhere. You don't know when it's going to happen, but you have to be constantly on guard, and that's a lot of mental strain as well, and that's one of the other things you never think about when you're watching this kind of thing, is there is so much mental strain going on with these drivers. They're constantly thinking, constantly having to try and work out when they're going to pit, when they're going to stay out, and what's going to happen. And it can be quite taxing on you. It's quite a physical experience, as Danson is all over the back of Skurlock at them.
Yeah, I think he's shaping up for a move. He's just having he's trying a couple of different lines on Skurlock just to see where he's weak, where he's strong, and I think we're going to see a move within the next 4 or 5 laps by the looks of things.
Yeah, in military tactics, we'd call that a probing attack. He's not actually pushing it. He's just poking at the line and just poking Skurlock, just seeing where he's weakest, seeing where he's not happy running. And he's just going to work it out from there. And again, that's that part of that mental aspect of racing that we're talking about. You have to think about this. And, Danson's there going, all right, okay, so Skurlock's really good on the low. Okay, I'm probably going to have to try and go a bit higher. Okay, what if I dummy a low run and then go up high and catch him off guard? That's what he's thinking about, Ryan. That's what he's trying to get in there. But while he's doing that as well, he's always putting pressure on Skurlock, and Skurlock's having to eat that pressure and actually having to stand out from it, having to not fade from this constant attack of Danson, because that's also...
Yeah, that's the hardest thing. Is it's a pressure that builds, especially when you've got someone quick like Danson behind you, and he's making those faint moves up the inside, lap after lap. It can put you off. You can see it all over your mirrors, and to not let that get into your mind, and to just drive your own line lap after lap after lap without making any mistake, because one mistake will cost you the lead of this race, is extremely difficult. Like, I couldn't even imagine. Right now, Michael Skurlock would be sweating bullets.
Yeah, it is hard, and it's part of that sort of tactic of mind warfare almost. Danson uses a lot. I think the main reason he has such a colourful car is so people know it's him, and it just gives him that bit of extra pressure, because you see that bright colour coming up behind you, similar to Ayrton Senna, of course, with his very famous bright yellow helmet. It just was very standout. You could see what was coming, and you knew it was him. So you sort of had that extra bit of fear inside you. And it's a tactic being used throughout history in racing and warfare that does work very well. That sort of little extra aspect to it, and it's little elements like that can make it. And the caution is out again, and we've got the Damon Stockton going around. So I'm just gonna have a little bit of a look, see if I can figure out what happened there. catch that afterwards. We've got David Stockton having a bit of a spin, but not sure he was the one that caused the caution. He was just seemed to be recovering, so it might have been somebody else there. Might have been something else that happened to Stockton. But yeah, it's car's been a bit in the wars tonight.
He has had a tough race, but more importantly, Carl, this was the lap almost to the tee, where we thought if there's a caution around 30 odd laps to go, do you come in and get the fresh tyres? So this pit stop battle, whoever comes in, we're really going to have to keep an eye on that, because whoever does blink, they're going to be absolutely flying through the pack in these last 30 laps.
It's all going to depend on the rest of the field, and this is where teams can come into play. You've got Illusion and Mitch Motorsport, and it looks like everybody's coming in, which is probably the most sensible option in all honesty, because you're not going to have to worry about fuel and tyres.
This is huge for pit stops. Jeez Louise.
Yeah, it's a whole field pit stop pretty much. There's a couple of people on laps further down. The first of which is unfortunately Norman Clark, who has got a car that is it's showing us the geometry of the front wheels very, very well, but that's not what you want in a car generally. If you can see all the suspension, that's probably not a good thing on a touring car. But he's currently the first of the cars that are lapped down, and that's 3 laps down. There's nobody else closer at the moment. Danson gets a very good stop and almost manages to get past Skurlock, but Skurlock does keep in the lead still. Very good stop for Danson there. He had a very quick time on that one.
Probably a little bit of an advantage to qualifying, I suppose. The higher you qualify for the field, your grid box is going to be right near the line as you exit. So Skurlock, who probably on a normal stop may have been overtaken there, was able to just quickly power himself over the line and make sure that he held position.
Yeah, that's it. It really helped him out. Skurlock and Danson actually had very similar stop times, but the person that had one of the slower stops was actually Josh Micklemore. Josh Micklemore had a really slow stop there, but he still managed to keep himself up there, and that's because of that positioning on the track. He was about half a second, half a tenth. Sorry, not half a second. Where am I? Where's my figures? About half a second slower than everybody else in that stop. So a pretty sluggish stop there, but being so far up really helped him out.
Yeah.
Kai Sloggett is the guy to watch out for from those stops, though.
Wow.
His pit stop was a 38.7 in the lane, and that is quite a bit faster than everybody else out there. So I don't know if he maybe took a couple of less tyres in that stop or something, because he had a very fast pit stop there. So that's really helped him out.
Yeah, no, another driver we haven't spoken too much about, but he's up from 29th on the grid now up to 5th. Remarkable drive from Kai Sloggett.
Yeah, Kai is a guy that, he's had some very good races. He's one to watch out for. He's not, maybe consistency is not being the best in sort of the top 10 finishes, but when he's on his day, he is very fast and one to watch out for. The Middle Finger Racing team, they tend to have that with their drivers. Matthew Cluett, for instance, as well. They have this sort of very... They have some tracks where they're absolutely phenomenal on, but then consistency isn't always there. Cluett had a very consistent year last year, and that got him in the chase. And Kai is just going to work on that, and they're definitely a team to look out for in the future. They've got some very good drivers in their wing, and they're ones that are going to, again, move up the field. One of the older teams in the actual ANZCAR series as well.
Just watching his stop, I wasn't able to see if he got the full 4 tyres on, because Murphy's Law glitched out just as his second set of tyres was meant to go on. But we're going green. And
we're going green, we're green away, and Skurlock gets another good stop. It's not another good stop, good start there even, the opposite of a stop. Gets a very good start there. Another guy that gets a good start is Chris Purnell. He got an absolute flyer there, and he's managed to get past Danny G. So he's working his way up there as well, and that will be welcome for Skurlock, having his teammate up, getting a little bit closer. If Skurlock can actually get to the back of Danson and start putting pressure on him, that's going to make Skurlock's life a lot easier.
fantastic stop there. Geez, the back of the pack, there are some drivers making some desperate moves up the inside. I can't believe Martin didn't get into Gallagher there for a massive crash. But as we pointed out earlier, now this is the time to make a move. You've only got 27 laps to go. So if you're going to have a crack at a podium in this race, you've got to make a move now.
That's it. And Neil Pearson has got all locked up, but somehow has managed to keep that one on.
Wow.
Oh, what a save and what a drive from everybody behind him. That was an absolute mega moment of avoidance there. Wow. And the caution has come out.
Caution.
After that amazing amazing avoidance there.
Riley Curtis is back in the...
And Riley Curtis not going well for Riley. He's had a bad night tonight. And
actually, sorry, Carl. So it's a secondary accident. It looks like Dave Douglas has been involved in the initial caution. Riley Curtis has checked up and have been hit hard from behind by Michael Schroeder, which has sent Riley hard into the wall.
That is a real shame there. Just a bit of an unfortunate one, and that could just stem a little bit from the Pearson incident on that straight there as well, and just throw things out a little bit. But it looks like Douglas is just he just ran so close up to one of the Middle Finger Racing guys, and had to actually lift off, and that's got the rear loose, and that's sort of spun him around. One of those instances that is, not much you can do in that situation. Just going back to have another look at that one. So it looks like the there was actually a contact in front. So
yeah,
that was a Dave Douglas there with the
Dartnack, I think.
Dartnack and the
Stockton again.
Stockton and the MFR of which one was that? Brett Gertitz, yeah. Gertitz has just had to put on the brakes to avoid that incident in front of him with Mirko Dortnack, and that spun Dave Douglas, which has caused a pendulum effect. It's almost like a Rube Goldberg machine of accident there, where it's just gone back and back and back. So.
Yeah, the old concertina effect.
A real shame there, and that's going to really throw things around a bit and change it up a little bit for the back section, but not much has changed for the front. It does mean though that this time round, we're going to be getting Purnell on the outside, so he's going to be sitting on the outside next to Micklemore for the restart. So this could give him a chance to jump Micklemore and get up to the back of Danson.
Yeah. This restart's huge. I mean, we're noticing now that these top guys, it's quite hard to overtake if they've got decent pace. So, within now only 24, 23 laps, once we go green, this restart's going to be absolutely massive.
Yeah, it's going to be it's going to be an important one. If we remain green after this could be a very important restart, because this could see us through to the end of the race. This could be a winning restart for some of them. So I'll have to see how that goes, of course. And one of the things I just want to point out is with all these top cars, all the way down to sixth place, and then actually Kai Sloggett is the first car that really is a little bit beaten up. There is not much damage on the sort of top sort of 5 cars. There's pretty much no pings, no dents, no scratches. And then as you start to go back a little bit, you've got James Roby, who's got a pretty straight car, a little bit of damage. Jason Martin's car looks absolutely pristine. Hamish Gallagher as well has actually had a great run, no damage on there as well. And Braden Boulis is just sitting back there with Foster behind him, also a very clean looking car at the moment. A nice clean livery on that JP Simshed car. It's JP Simspeed car. It's looking good, but a lot of those top 10 cars are very straight. They've not been involved in those incidents. They've not had those little moments. as the pace car peels in, and we're going to go back to green, and Skurlock
Great
again
start,
does not
Skurlock.
wait for it. He just drops it straight away. Gets a brilliant restart, and this is going to help Micklemore possibly get up underneath Danson. He tries it, but Danson's had to cut down in front of Micklemore to block him off. And will that just slow him down a little bit? Doesn't look like it. He's still got some pace in there.
Beautiful start. The textbook, all the guys tonight in the lead have dropped the gas almost immediately after the safety cars entered the pit lane, and it's a lovely start by Skurlock. Can he hold on for 20 laps?
Will he do it? That's the big question from now. But there are so many contenders behind him. There is so many fast cars back there. It's hard to really say other than Danson, because he's just had an absolutely demanding drive from 23rd up. He's done a great job. But speaking of other people, Kai Sloggett up in
Amazing drive by
fifth
Kai.
place as well. Again, he's made up a fair few positions as Danny G goes down the inside of him, and just going to get that position back, is he? It looks like he might.
Great
And
move,
he
Danny
does
G.
it indeed. Good job for Danny G. And Danny G's been having a great season as well. And speaking of other people that are doing well this season, and we've got a caution out.
Cautions.
I did notice a car down on the infield, but I didn't want to say anything because I hoped that the god of cautions would avoid it. Don't know who that was, though. I'm just having a quick flick through, just seeing if I can spot anything.
Got nothing.
Bit further down the field, unfortunately. But yeah, I did see a car on the infield just before the pit entry, I think it was. Spotted out the corner of my eye. So I'm not sure exactly who that was, but yeah, caution is out again. So Skurlock's going to have to get back to that restarting.
He does. He has to have another great restart. I mean, you know, if I'm in Mick's position, I'm sort of happy. I mean, the laps are ticking by, and you know, by the time we go green, we're looking at only 16 laps to go. So if he can manage to get another good restart, he's got 16 laps to hold off the fast-charging Matt Danson. Fortunately, with the accidents at the back tonight, it just seems like maybe a few of the guys down at the back of the pack are really finding tonight's race quite tricky. I'm not picking up a lot of those ones up the back. I don't know why. My 1080 Ti should load in every single car, but unfortunately that I wasn't able to see what happened there.
Yeah, I mean, as regular viewers will know, I've been running a potato for the past few years, and I finally upgraded said potato, so now I can actually run every car without my computer turning into some form of nuclear melted sludge.
Well,
but
it doesn't catch on fire. Your new computer?
Yeah, it's yeah. I'm hoping I don't get any fires out of it, but not streaming this year. I'm pretty sure that won't happen. That was a very interesting broadcast when it did happen a while back. Anyway, Skurlock is going to have a good one here, and we'll see how he goes for this restart. But the problem now for Skurlock is the fact that he has had a couple of restarts, and Danson's seen what he's been doing, so he's going to have to change it up a little bit, because Danson will have got canny to how he's going to restart. He knows where Skurlock's been dropping the foot, dropping the accelerator, and we get some bump drafting there just as Danson and Skurlock just try and hurry the pace car along a little bit.
Not happy with the safety car's speed at all.
No, and look, any racing driver will always complain about safety car speeds.
Is that Lewis Hamilton out there?
Yeah, that's it. It's quite a common one. The safety car is going way too slow. But he's had a chance to see his restarts a fair few times now, and that's not a good thing. It's not what you want to have happen. And that can cause some issues, because you're going to have to change the way you restart. You're going to have to just drop the hammer a little bit later than you would normally do. And, you know, you have to mix it up a little bit sometimes, because drivers will get used to how you restart, and that can really cause some issues.
Yeah, and these guys are really pushing the boundaries of the of the safety car here. But yeah, Matty Danson's moved alongside Skurlock and has made him very, very known that I'm here, mate, and you know, be prepared for one heck of a battle.
Not going to make it easy for you, for
He's
sure.
letting him know that he's there. That's gamesmanship there by Dedza, pulling in front of him, pulling up close next to him, making it very, very known that he wants to win. Who wants it more? I suppose we're about to see over the next 15 laps.
We're about to see, and we'll drop commentary for this restart and let you hear the wail of the engines as Michael Skurlock's going to get that restart very soon. The pace car's going to drop into the pit lane any moment, and we'll shut up, and here we go. Good restart again for Skurlock, managing to get down, and we've got a caution out again, unfortunately.
Crikey.
Not long there between the cautions. Trying to figure out what happened, but unfortunately not. As you can hear, we're furiously clicking through, trying to work out what's actually happened there.
There it is. Jeez Louise. Okay, it's Michael Schroeder, unfortunately there. Just a few laps down and really finding the track just eating him alive again, lighting up the rears, exiting the final corner, and as he's drifting around, unfortunately, it's the unlucky car of Tristan Kosh who comes through and collects him, and he also pounds in the wall. I mean, Tristan Kosh literally has no panels on the front of his car, and he's just been involved in another accident on the front of the car. So that chassis at the end of this race will be taken to the dump.
And the front guys are really playing with the mind games at the moment as they make a dart for the pit lane. We had the famous dance and last minute strike out the pit lane there, trying to get a few guys to come in there.
I don't think anyone's going to pit with 10 laps to go, Carl.
No, I think they were being a bit hopeful to fool some people, but you never know. These head games do work. Koch had a great time last time out. He had a fantastic finish last time out at Auto Club, but the luck's not continued here tonight for him, unfortunately. And as you say, you get a great look at the engine and the wheels on that car, and unfortunately, that's about it. There's not much left of the car itself. Of course, we have to ask, though, if we didn't actually see what happened with the Schrodinger crash there, are we absolutely sure what happened? I'll stop with the bad jokes.
You lost me fast. I was getting a drink and I came in at the end of that one.
Call you out there. Yeah, so it's going to be an interesting restart.
This is crazy now. I mean, we're really getting down to the nitty-gritty. Full pack of cars all stacked, line astern, with only probably 9 laps to go once we go after the restart. So, again, I still think Skurlock will be fairly happy with these cautions as the laps just continually tick down. And hey, what if you can hold on from here? It'd be a remarkable win.
Generally, the only driver that enjoys a caution to the end of the race is the driver in first place. It can be a nice little welcome gift sometimes, but I'm sure these guys want to race.
For sure.
Ty Sloggett's still sitting there up in 5th. Good job for him. He just managed to get past Danny G as well. So he's going to be sitting up there, and there's some very hungry guys up in that top 5, top 6 cars that are going to be wanting to get this win. Well, top 10 even, top 12. You know, there are very hungry drivers out there wanting to get their first Cup win of the year. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. And will we see a last-minute banzai by somebody? Will somebody really go for it? It's probably a bit hard here because Phoenix is it's a very hard track to race on.
Yeah.
It's very loose, and it's a similar issue we saw in the Xfinity cars a couple of weeks back at Atlanta, I think it was. Brain is
Yeah, there
actually
was
having to work.
there was an
Yeah.
Atlanta race at in the Xfinity Cup. Yeah.
Yeah, and guys were going around. It was like an ice skating rink out there, and it is very problematic sometimes. It's when you've been driving lots, you do get that little bit of extra. Um, it does become a bit easier for you, and you do get that sort of you do know how to control the car, things like that. But when you're slightly newer, if you haven't got those years and years of experience, it does catch you out sometimes, and we've seen that before. But pace car comes in, and we're going to go green again. Will Skurlock get that good jump again? And he does. Really nice restart there, and Purnell actually just got pretty much right into the back of Danson, almost bump drafting him there for a couple of moments, really helping pushing him along. And it looks like Foster's had a horrible
it's
restart.
A huge accident. Huge accident. Massive pile-up. There was, there was so many cars loose after that restart, and it looks like Danny G's been involved here.
Danny G and Kai Sloggett. So, yeah, just having a little look here what happened.
Danny G. Such a good season so far, but he's lost their Carl after the restart into the wall and come back down.
Got up onto those marbles, and yeah, that's really ended his race there. That's an unfortunate one. Yeah, big one there for Danny G. That's a real shame for him, and that's really going to hurt him. And yeah, saw as well Foster getting involved in that as well. I was just saying he had a horrible restart. He got a bit loose, I think, on there and was just dropping down the order. He had a bit of a scrape to the wall, and I was just catching my eye on that. The back end of the car just stepping out for him a little bit, and he lost it, losing positions hand over fist, and then he just got caught up in that wreck as well. Had to go up into the wall to avoid the cars, but big damage on the front end of that car. That is that was a big one.
Yeah, I feel so sorry for Kai Sloggett, who did such a good job to come from 29th on the grid up to effectively 4th or 5th, and just the innocent victim there for Kai. Really heartbreaking result in tonight's race. So unlucky there, but that can be racing. And this track has brought out a lot of people tonight.
It is. It's look, racing is not always it's not always fun. And if you've ever done
there's
real
only
life,
probably one person who's happy at the end of the race, or maybe a couple. But
yeah, if you've ever done real life motorsports as well, you'll understand this one. Of racing is very, very, very annoying 99% of the time, and there's only about 1% that's actually happy. It is a tricky thing, and in situations like that, it was just Danny G just got loose there, went out on the marbles, and there was nothing he could do. That car just was going around, and Kai Sloggett was just an innocent victim in that crash. Just got speared in the side. Nothing really. Again, just one of those racing incidents, unfortunately. And again, we've just seen it. The old adage of restarts breed restarts, cautions breed cautions. But tire pressures drop in a caution. Your car is not quite as sticky as it would be normally. You've got to get the car back up to racing temperature, but also you're racing very hard to keep in your position, and it's so easy to happen, unfortunately.
I think I can hear from the driver a couple of unhappy drivers, but I think a bit different to last week with the cautions. Tonight, there's probably only been probably the one or two where a couple of drivers probably could have given a bit more room, but by and large, it's actually been just drivers struggling for grip. Maybe drivers still getting their heads around these new tyres on the shorter tracks. There's frustrated drivers out there, but it's not. These guys are genuinely making errors. It's hard out there, and it's unfortunate with the amount of cautions, but it just genuinely looks hard work out there.
Yeah, it's not easy, and as we say, last week there were a lot of errors which were driver errors in the respect of being in the wrong place at the wrong time, causing an incident because there was a lot of lapped cars getting involved in incidents, things like that we saw. Tonight, it's been a very different thing. It has been that thing of these drivers are literally just struggling to keep on the track, and they are just struggling to keep temperature in those tyres, trying to keep grip in those tyres, and just keeping off the marbles. And it's not easy tonight. It's a hard track. As the pace car comes in, we're going to get ready for the restart. We've got 4
5
to
laps
go.
to go. This is going to be intense. Can Skurlock hold on? Come on, Mick.
Going to be a tricky one for him to get another good restart away, and he does get out there. Danson does get a bit closer this time. He's a bit closer on this restart. That's going to help him out for sure.
Jeez, there's all sorts of tussling going on behind. They know there's only a number of laps left. This is intense.
And this is where the driver errors of instance can happen, because and
we've got cars in the wall.
We've got the very big crash at the back. Just going back to have a look at that, Xavier Bellamy, I think, was the first car in that incident, and he's just going around, and he has just tapped the wall. He's just lost it on the outside, gone down into the 62, and that has wiped out a lot of cars behind us. Crikey, even one of the Illusion cars was in the air there for a few minutes. Got some airtime. So I think that was Mirko Dortnak. Yeah, Mirko Dortnak was just a ping pong ball in that incident, unfortunately. If we can get a good in-car view of Dortnak's view from that crash, he was up over the catch fencing there. So
I don't mean to laugh, but that was just huge. He was like over the catch fencing into the crowd at one stage. Dortnak, he's not going to be. I mean, he's not going to be laughing, but wowee, that was just monumental.
Yeah, and then unfortunately just turned the car around. He just gives the wall one last little tap, just try to get the car going straight again. It's hard not to laugh in these situations.
Sorry,
but incident like that, it was a big one. But
huge.
Yeah, that was unfortunate for Dornak.
But what we were just talking about earlier with cars losing into the wall, like on that restart, I was just counting it: 1 into the wall, 2 in the wall, 3 in the wall, 4, and then I was thinking of the 4th one that eventually sort of come off the wall and into the pack. But there's so many cars hitting the wall on that restart, pushing too hard.
Yeah, it's been a hard one, and we're on the last lap now, so we're gonna get the green white checker. Hopefully that should be it. It's last week we had that issue of things not going correctly, but we'll have the hybrids racing simulations green white checker hopefully this week, and the one lap to go. So
we're not going to time out this week. We've still got 40 minutes to go, so we're definitely getting the hybrid racing simulations one to go this round. And Skurlock, he's just got to dig in for 2 laps.
Yeah, just get in there. We'll try and figure that out. And get that all sort of sorted out on that one. But yeah, Skurlock's just gonna have that little bit of pressure now. He's just got sort of really 1 lap to go for this green white checker, and that's gonna make it.
I'd be a special win if he hold it from here. I mean, he deserves it. He's led so much of this race. He's held off Matt Danson when he's been under pressure, but can he hold off Danson when it's crunch time on these opening laps? Chris Purnell, his teammate, said midweek in the majors that doesn't matter if he's my teammate, if it's the end of the race, I don't care who it is, I go for wins. So even though you've got 2 teammates there, watch for the green black Illusion car of Chris Purnell to really give his teammate a push as well. He's going to be hungry for a win. Josh Micklemore's going to keen for 2 wins in a row, so don't count any of them as we gear up for what's going to be a special finish.
Yeah, it should be a good one. It's going to be an interesting one to the end here. Just looking, we might have a slight glitch on the old system again. Unfortunately, we've got 3 laps to go coming up. So hopefully we're all on the same lap as on the broadcast and on everything. But it's going to get going, and the pace car is going to be coming in any moment soon.
Yeah, I thought we were going green on that lap, but okay. I think we're going green at the end of this lap. A lot of drivers hungry, a lot of drivers close on this restart. They know they can steal some big points here and possibly get on the podium or even collect a win.
Yeah.
We saw on the green white checker last week, Ed Foster and Allison coming together on the green white checker, and we're off.
And we are off. We are off for the green white checker, and that means Purnell gets a great restart there. So it is the Hybrid Racing Simulations white flag to go after this one, and a lot of drivers are hungry for this win. Danson getting a great run here as well.
Wants to go around the outside. They touch.
And he is. Slight touch, and that's put him up into the wall slightly. Dropped him off, and he's going to come round, but he's still got some speed in there. Is Danson going to do it? No, he's losing a bit of speed now. There's a little bit of contact back, a little bit further back, but they've all kept it going in a straight line. Skurlock's got some good speed here, but he's got to really defend against Danson, who's got fantastic speed on this one.
Oh, this is going to be so close.
It's going to be close, but it looks like Danson is going to edge it out.
Oh! Big wreck after the line.
Maverick after the line, but Danson takes it. Danson takes it. Skurlock gets second. Purnell is just in third place, with Josh Mickelmore fourth. Big incident at the end there, but it's not really affected the order. Just having a look through and just seeing who got through there. So James Roby actually managed to finish in fifth. Braden Buller sixth with that one. That was a fantastic end for the for Matt Danson.
We've saw basically no overtakes all night around the outside, and he's somehow gone around the outside of Skurlock to pinch it right at the death by 0.08 of a second.
Yeah, he's just got it there, just at that last moment. He just got pipped at the post there by Danson, and he's going to be doing the donuts and very happy about that one. He's going to be pretty chuffed, I think.
Oh, he's going to be. That's a fantastic win. I mean, he's really pinched one there from Mick Skurlock, and amazing. That's the move of the night for me. No moves done around the outside at all evening, and to do it on the last corner of the last lap is spectacular. An amazing victory. Well done to Skurlock as well, and a beautiful drive in second. And Chris Purnell kept it clean all night and rounds out the podium. Well done. Two Illusion boys on the podium, which is good to see.
Good strong finish there for Illusion. They're going to be chuffed about that, I'm sure. In the top 10 as well, you've got Ryan Jones and Dave Douglas too. So another couple of Illusion drivers up there. So good finish for Illusion. And Stephen Williams actually 10th, sorry. So yeah, brilliant night for Illusion there. They absolutely they had a lot of cars in the top 10 for that one. Yeah. So great job for them. They're going to be very happy about that one, I'm sure. But yeah, just getting pipped at the last minute there. Skurlock, that was a real shame. He had a fantastic drive, and he did a good job. But just not quite enough. I thought he had it when Danson had that little moment into the wall at the end, but he still had speed there.
I'm blown away. I didn't even think that move was possible. I thought Skurlock had it in the bag on the inside, and just shows the quality of the driver of Matt Danson to be able to pull that type of move off, and he deserves the victory this evening.
I'm sure he's not going to be too unhappy about that one. It was a bit of a long race, bit of a race of attrition there. But I think it was more a race of attrition just for keeping the cars on the track. It was just a very hard track to run out there tonight.
Tough race. Ate a lot of drivers. So a lot of drivers ate concrete tonight, and it wasn't really driver-to-driver contact. It was just single driver error. A lot of losing of the rear end, especially on corner exits. So tough evening, and the people up the top are the ones that kept it clean and kept it off the wall.
Yeah, and that does it. Just makes a difference. The temperature out there was about 31 on the track, so it was not super hot out there, but um, yeah, it does. It just doesn't help when you've got that heat in kind of thing. So what I'm going to do is, I can see him up in the green room right now, is I'm going to grab down our race winner, Mr. Matt Danson. Matt Danson, Carl Withy here with Simshed Broadcasting. There we go, words coming out. Congratulations on the victory.
Thank you, Carl. Do I make you nervous each time you bring me in? You start to get a little bit flustered.
Look, I can't help it when I'm around you. It just always happens. That was one heck of a race for you. You dropped to the back of the grid after I think it was the third or fourth restart. I'd noticed, and worked your way back up the field from that to a fantastic victory.
Yeah, I got a unsafe pit exit when we were coming out of the pits on that one you were talking about. Myself and I think like two or maybe even three other cars were like all exiting the pit lane, and I tried to just give a bit of extra room, and I must have just crossed over the the line that sort of marks the outside of the pit lane when you come out of it. So it gave me unsafe release and popped me to the back. But it was a lot of fun coming through the field, and then it was looking pretty grim towards the end there with all the yellows because I just needed a little bit of a little bit of time just to get around. I knew I had speed over Skurlock, who was driving really well, mind you, but I knew I had a bit of speed, but I just couldn't do anything if we kept only having two laps and then a yellow, two laps and a yellow. So thankfully, on that last one, I just I felt like there might have been a little bit of grip out in the top lane, and there was.
Yeah, that really paid off for you because we were talking about that. That nobody had really managed to pass on the outside pretty much all race long, and then at the end, there you go, you just do it out of the blue there. Really nice job for you with that one. It was a hard race out there, obviously, and we were noticing up here. It's a bit harder when you're driving, but a lot of the cautions were really from people just losing the rear end through those corners. Was it quite loose out there for yourself?
That's a good question. Not really. Like I could see how it would happen if you're a bit sort of heavy-footed, I suppose. But um, that's probably one of the fortes for me. Usually, if it's power sort of oversteer, I'm able to control that. What I don't like is a car that's kind of just flighty in the rear. I don't like a car that's sort of unpredictable and four-wheel drifting. But if it's from power, I'm usually all right with that. So I didn't really notice it, but I could see there was it felt like there was a bit of power underfoot for a change. I guess that's the new package. So I could see how it might have been a bit troublesome for some people.
Yeah, it definitely did cause some trouble and unfortunately a few yellows, but it didn't go too badly in the end. Matt, any questions for Matt?
Hey Matt, it's Matt. Good name, mate.
Yeah, great name.
Yeah, it's uncommon.
That's true.
Great race again tonight, mate. To come through the pack the way you did, and that move around the outside, I said to Carl's probably the move of the night. Have you ever had to make a move like that around this track before? Is that something you've practiced, or that was just completely just natural driving, thinking I've got to have a dig around this outside and somehow make it work?
Um, yeah, I mean in the sort of the top split races, normally like everyone is so close that you've got to kind of try and make the top work. You're usually stuck 2x2 for laps on end.
Okay. Yep.
So
Yep.
it just depends on how with the dynamic track. It sort of depends usually on how hot the bottom is, and that sort of thing. Like sometimes what used to happen here is after a few laps you'd start using that as your go-to line. And I was kind of
Right.
when we had that really super long run. I'm not sure if it was caught on the broadcast, but myself and Braden, when we were working our
Yeah.
way through the field,
Yep.
we would kind of we do that. Like you enter the corner, you let it drift out to the sort of the middle lane, and then you get the grip there, and then bring it down and shoot out of the corner. So that's sort of it is something that's somewhat common issue. Usually, if you've got fresh tires, now it's not always ideal. Like the top is usually, sorry, the bottom is a little bit stronger. But I
Yep.
think we'd had enough. Like we'd done a few laps on those tires each time. Sort of heat cycling them and that sort of thing. And I think that gave a little bit of strength to the outside.
Yeah, it was an amazing run you and Braden did. So that middle phase of the race, he bumper for a number of laps. Not quite sure what happened to him in the end after you guys pitted. He drifted way down the water back to around the mid-20s, but he's fought his way back up to 6th. So he obviously had a lot of pace as well. It's probably lucky in the end he did have a bit of an issue in the pit lane. You might have had a bit
Yeah.
of a battle on your hands towards the end there with Braden as well.
I know I had him sorted. He was fine, but no, he's super quick. I don't know if you've seen him around. He's been pro for the last couple of years. Just missed out on making the Coke series, but he's always in the pro series. So he's super quick, and yeah, I was doing all the hard work, and he would just follow me through
Yeah,
on everyone,
yeah.
which was annoying.
Yeah,
But
I saw that.
he got done for speeding. He swears he
Okay.
wasn't speeding, but he got done for it. So
Good.
he did well to sort of nudge his way back up, considering like obviously all the cautions that we had towards the end. He did well to get back up there. I think he finished 5th or 6th or something.
Yeah, 6th. So great job there by Braden, mate. And yeah, congratulations on another win. That was entertaining and a really, really cool way to win it. You only won by 8 hundredths. So
Hell yeah!
that's
I
the
mean, like,
closest finish I think we've had this series.
awesome. I mean, like, credit I guess as well has got to go to Gerlock and even Chris as well. Like he had a good
Yeah.
restart. They obviously coordinated that, but it would have been easy for probably a less experienced person, or if I didn't trust them as much as I do, that they would have pushed up and we would have had a wreck. But thankfully, both those guys and even Josh,
Yeah.
who was behind me, all really trustworthy kind of racers who you can race real close. So without their cooperation, it probably would have just been
A mess.
yeah.
yeah, for sure.
So, just before we let you go, of course, anyone you'd like to give a shout out to tonight, Mr. Danson?
Yep, the usual cast, obviously, Horizon Racing Team. All my pals and teammates there. Braden obviously is one of those guys. He was here. Out to Peter, saving the animals there. Vegan Food Melbourne, Matt Danton Racing. I've just sort of newly created that on Instagram and Facebook of that for anyone who cares. And obviously you guys, for sticking around and doing the commentary and finding things to talk about. ANZCAR put on the league, and yeah, everyone for racing.
Thanks,
Thank you so much, Mr. Danson, and I'm sure we'll see you up in the box at some stage in the rest of the season.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Thanks, Matt. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Matt Dance, of course, the winner of the race. Great job for him, and yeah, just a fantastic race. Some serious speed in him. Boulos as well. Those guys are just ridiculously quick. It's something to behold sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Bulos in 34th all the way to 6th, even with all those dramas. An amazing job.
Fantastic. So we will grab down another guy that did a great race tonight, the 350 of the Illusion car for Mr. Michael Skurlock. Mick Skurlock, Carl Withy here for Simshed Broadcasting. How are you going?
Afternoon, fellas. I'm
Hey.
very tired, exhausted after that.
Heartbroken?
Yeah.
Oh, mate, soul's just shattered.
Look, I can
It was
understand
alright,
that
but,
one.
Yeah, no.
Well, actually, something I want to actually touch base on there, just with the being tired thing. We were talking up in the commentary box just with that race, with the pressure that Danson was putting on you for those last laps. Also, the fact you've been racing hard all night long with the front runners. How much of a mental drain did that put on you?
I could sing with Josh, so for the night, and breaking bone. So I
Yeah.
was holding on. for a while.
Yeah.
You
I,
put-
I think I got room, to be honest.
Yeah.
That again.
Oh, look, hindsight is always 2020, but you did a fantastic job. In all honesty, you really did keep the pressure on him, and it was, it was a very close finish there by 0.8 of a sorry, 0.08 of a second, like very, very close there at the end. You had a fantastic run. Just want to touch base on the restarts there. You're just saying. We did talk to Danson about this one, but were you finding the track a little bit rough to race on after those restarts? A little bit hard to run on it?
End of the thing was hooking up. So you start traction. You get the car stopped. One is taxi there.
Yeah, it did not look easy out there for anyone, and yeah, it was looked like a really hard one. Matt, anything from Mr. Skurlock?
No, I just congratulate you on another good result. I think that's 2 weeks in a row now on the podium, if I'm correct. And you talk about pushing Matt maybe a bit harder, but one thing that he said that he appreciated was the fact that he could make a move like that. I mean, even though it probably doesn't make you feel any better, but he did thank you for your ability to race clean, and it was pretty obvious all night that you were a clean driver, and that's why you're on the podium, mate, and getting these good results. So yeah, well done.
He knows Daddy's coming. His day's coming.
Look,
It'll come.
It's been going well for you, and we're just looking at the championship beforehand. Yourself and Chris, and pretty much, a fair few Illusion cars, as is usually expected with Illusion. There's about 1 million of you out there, but you're up in the top 10 of the championship. Yourself was eighth at the start of this race, and that's just going to catapult you up a bit further. It's looking good so far this year, though. You're definitely having some good runs out there.
Yeah, and definitely getting better. And some wins there. No one knows about those ones.
We mentioned it. So we saw that you'd won midweek for a couple of times in a row now. So you're in good form, mate, and I think you're someone to look out for this year in the championship. Sure.
Yeah, well, I hope it all luck. Bit of a gambling, you're gonna get.
Yeah.
So each of those courses, you lose the memory. Like, I can't remember any of that. Right? Each course,
Yeah.
and then you restart from there. I've had all the other guys hanging out there because
Yeah.
Awesome. So just before we let you go, the usual thing, anyone you'd like to give a shout out for tonight, Mr. Skurlock?
This virtual mode. Edward and Daniel at Hunter.
You're more
Thanks,
than
Mick.
welcome. We will see you again, I'm sure, up in the box relatively soon. Skurlock there, Illusion Racing, another good finish. He's been having some good finishes. He's definitely on form, and you just feel like that win is coming for him.
Yeah, he's one to look out for. I mean, his form just seems to be getting better week after week. So looking forward to seeing what he can do over the next few weeks and make a championship charge for sure.
Absolutely. And speaking of Illusion, we'll grab down third place man, Mr. Chris Purnell. Chris Purnell, Carl Withy here, JP Simshed Broadcasting. How are you going?
Thank you, and yourself?
Not bad, not bad. Nice to have you up in the box. Nice to say hello to you. Not a bad race there for yourself.
No, it was pretty cruisy, to be honest with you. I sort of stayed out of trouble and just did my own.
Yeah, you did your own thing, and you did well. You got up to third in the end, which is obviously always a nice thing to have. Nice to get up there, gained 7th place, I think it was, by the end. Very close finish there between the top three, sort of barely a second in it. It's another sort of top three finish for the Illusion as well. So it's been going well so far this season for you guys. You're definitely putting some more pressure on the front of the grid.
Yeah, I think the tyre models definitely suited our driving style a lot more than, say, last year with just the aero package. The tyre slides around, it moves around a little bit more, so we kind of are able to work with that a little bit better. But in saying that, it was the top 7. There was nothing in it really. Once sort of the pace spread out, you couldn't really make a move on the car in front. You're kind of trapped by a bit of like a wind sort of wall when you got to the back bumper. So it was a good battle with the guys from Mitch and obviously Matt at the end there. So yeah.
Yeah, and it seems like Mick's doing quite well. Is he taking advantage of the virtual motorsport mentor?
No, he's not. He's he actually sends me dummy sets to try and slow me down sometimes. So it's a little bit of a rivalry between us, but it's good. It helps build everybody up, and we sort of benchmark off each other. And yeah, he seems to have a bit more oval pace than I do this season, but I feel like I probably got him covered on the road stuff over a race distance, so it sort of pushes each other back to work a bit harder.
All right, it's going to be a good season. We're looking forward to it, and we were just saying before with Illusion, you guys have been having some good runs recently and getting those sort of top 10 finishes. In the championship at the moment, we've got in the top 10, there's Daniel Stevens, Skurlock, yourself obviously, and Dave Douglas, and Brett Gerritz as well. Quite a few drivers from the team there.
Brett and Daniel are actually in middle finger.
Oh, sorry. Oh God, yeah. Okay, brain just going off there. Stephen Williams again. Yeah, Stephen Williams, as usual. The mistake has been made. I was just to think of it. But not bad for you guys. You guys are doing relatively well. Like, you've been having a good season so far, and things are definitely coming up for you guys. In that race as well, there was a lot more Illusion cars in there. Of course, Stephen Williams and Dave Douglas were in the top 10 for you as well with that one, and Ryan Jones as well. It seems like you guys are really starting to creep up a bit from last season. It seemed like you were just struggling a bit last season, and the season's gone a bit better for the team.
Yeah, definitely. I think over the break, obviously, we had 8 new drivers join the team. So that was quite a big influx to then be able to have more knowledge, more information to sort of push each other in different directions and sort of work together that way. I find that once there's a good competitive group of guys, that you sort of push each other a little bit harder to find that extra little bit of speed. So that's definitely helping. All the boys have obviously been doing really well and just working at it really hard with every series that we run in. And we're having a pretty competitive showing in everything we're jumping in this season so far.
Good to hear. Matt, any questions for Mr. Purnell?
Hey, Chris, Matt here, mate. Well done again. Just want to touch on one thing. Was hearing right on the weekend of the majors, you and Michael had a bit of a battle at Rockingham as well, or was that someone else?
Yeah, that was us. We're dancing again, so yeah, it's been a pretty regular thing at the moment.
Who got the nod then? Was it Skurlock over you, or did you get him? Okay.
He got me on the caution on the back straight by probably half a metre. It was pretty close. So
there is a bit of a rivalry starting there, because we made mention of it in the broadcast. I noticed you sitting there in behind your teammate, and that it wasn't necessarily going to be a situation where you'd let him cross the line in front of you. You might be keen to have a dig, but unfortunately the track and the conditions probably didn't allow that. But you had a bit of a dig towards the end there. But great result again, and be interesting to see how little inter-team rivalry between you and Michael goes out over the course of the season.
Yeah, that's it, man. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're not pushing, you're not driving the car hard enough. So I'm going to have a crack. I'm not going to wreck him, but I'll definitely bump him on the back bumper to make sure he knows I'm there. So.
Awesome, thanks, Chris. Just before we let you go, let's get your shout-outs out of the way.
Beautiful. So I just want to give out a shout out to all the guys in Illusion Motorsport. I'll shout out to the ANZCAR admin for all their hard work behind the scenes. I know it's a pretty big task to sort of cover all the the little stuff that goes on behind the scenes for sure. I'll give a shout out to you guys up in the JP Simshed broadcasting booth, and then all the other competitors. Obviously, it's pretty cool that everybody shows up every week, and it's been a pretty decent sized field every week this season so far. So that's pretty awesome to see. And then obviously with my new business, Virtual Motorsport Mentor, I'm offering coaching and advice and all sorts of other stuff like that. So make sure you head over to the Facebook page and give us a like, and stay tuned with what we've got coming up in the near future.
Yeah, definitely something good for the community as well. And so thank you so much for starting out with that. It's good to see people helping others as well. So I'm sure a few people will absolutely jump on using that service, because fantastic to see out there.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks, Chris.
Yes, Chris. We'll hopefully see you in the booth in the near future.
Sounds good.
Chris Purnell there, Virtual Motorsport Mentor, and of course Illusion driver. Great race for Illusion, as I said, and it was a bit of a hard one all through that. It was a bit of a slog.
Yeah, it was.
So just before we go, we're just going to run through the schedule for upcoming events. So Sunday, the 8th of March, we've got the EISA Endurance Championship happening. Of course, these can all be I can't speak. These can be caught on Simshed Broadcasting, of course. Next up, we've got Tuesday. Oh, sorry, drops off as I'm talking about that. Gotta love it when that happens. Sorry about that. On Tuesday the 10th, we have round 1 of the Jinx Super 2 V8 series, development series for V8 driving. Definitely check it out. There is going to be some serious racing in that, and it's a really good start for new drivers working out their sort of their road racing experience and working in the V8. Sorry, the supercars, of course. Very cool to see that happening. Thursday, the 12th of March, we have the ANZCAR Abruzzi Cup at Atlanta. As we said before, some trouble at Atlanta for the Thunder guys for the Xfinity. So hopefully won't be the same for the Cup. That little bit more downforce, a little bit more grip will hopefully work out better for them. But another tricky track. Some two very, very hard tracks in a row this time, with Phoenix and Atlanta in a row.
Yeah.
And then finally, Tuesday, 17th of the 3rd, we have round 2 of the Jinx Super 2 V8 series. Again, I give that one a check out.
Yeah,
So,
looking forward to that.
yeah, it's going to be exciting. And I know that Mr. JP himself has been working very hard on that and is very excited to get that one started. So, before I go, just last sort of thoughts on that race, Matt.
It was what we thought watching the warm up that the drivers were going to struggle, and it was a lot of the tail end guys really losing the rear end. The guys at the front stayed clean, and we got in the end a really close finish, actually the closest of the season, with an amazing overtake, and it was a really cool race to watch with some really good driving up at the front there. And I think as the season goes on and the drivers get used to the tyres, the racing will increase in its quality week in, week out. So looking forward to next week, another tricky track. So promises to be a good race. And thank you, Carl, for your work you do behind the scenes, and JP Simshed. There's a lot of hours that get put into this, and I appreciate it. It makes for a really entertaining Thursday night.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, no, big shout out to JP, of course, behind the cameras, working very tirelessly and hard back there. Always unmentioned, but always helping us out. So, big thank you to you, Matt, for joining me tonight in the broadcast booth. Big thank you again to JP, and from myself, Carl Withy. We'll end up here, and we'll see you next time out for Atlanta. Goodbye.